Okay, should be recording. This is going to be a lot different than my normal YouTube content, because most of my other videos are just uploads of past streams or parts of past streams. And this is going to be more to the YouTube audience, and I'll be able to talk without getting interrupted by any like follow notifications or people in the chat. So hopefully this will be more instructive. And I've been getting a lot of questions recently about doing specific types of videos, doing some series on openings, also different questions regarding, I don't know, specific areas of chess. So hopefully this video is just a start of many more exclusively done videos for YouTube, in which I'll try and bring value to the viewers. I'll try and answer questions. For this video, I just want to share kind of a nice opening from the black side. And we'll actually look from both perspectives. I want to show it from the black side and then show how to play against it from the white side. And if you're a hardcore fan, it's very possible that you've seen me play this in streams. But for those who haven't seen before, it starts in a Petroff opening, also called the Russian defense, after knight f3, knight f6. And after knight take e5, there's a move that I sometimes like to play here in blitz. And of course the main move for black is to play d6, and after knight f3 to take on e4. There's all this theory. Caruana has been known for playing it, especially in recent months. But the move I've had a lot of fun with is this move knight take e4. And this is something you see perhaps at beginner tournaments where the opponent is just copying their counterpart, and essentially the main trap that black walks into often, especially among beginner play, is after queen e2, the knight will move back, and then let's say knight f6, and then black loses the queen to knight c6. However, there's a better way to play this for black, which can lead to a trap that white can fall into. It's to play this move queen e7. And then after queen take e4, d6. And I will say right away that this is a dubious opening for black, but a lot of white players won't know how to best meet it, and therefore either walk into a trap or black will equalize. So let me show how white can mess this up. Most of the time white will play d4, which is completely fine, realizing that the knight is lost as there is a pin on the e-file, and white is simply wanting to get a pawn for the knight. So after take on e5, take on e5, black is down a pawn. Now the reason black plays this is to get some early initiative, because black has a move here. Black can make a threat with knight c6, and now black starts getting initiative by attacking the pawn on e5. Now the first time I ever ran into this opening was actually from, I was playing the white side. And this was several years ago, probably about 5 years ago. I was playing some small open tournaments, and I was playing against an 1800 player. I was probably rated over 2200 at the time. And I played what looked to be the most natural move here, bishop to f4, which turns out to be a mistake, and led me to losing a piece very soon. So my opponent played very quickly. He was in his preparation. He played pawn g5, which kind of caught me off guard. I spent a little bit of time here. I wanted to keep this pawn defended. Played the most natural looking move, bishop g3, which is yet another mistake. I think bishop to g3 is a blunder. And now it's black to move and win material. So if you haven't seen this before and you want to find it, pause the video and find the material winning move for black. The move is pawn f5, which caught me completely off guard. I realized that my pawn is pinned, so I can't en passant because of queen take e4. Meanwhile, my queen's attacked, and black's threatening to trap the bishop with f4. So white is just losing a piece here. Now what was interesting when I ran into this, my opponent actually offered me a draw. I think what happened was I played queen e2, Then my opponent played f4 and offered me a draw, which was maybe his first mistake. Because black is better, black should be playing for a win. And when he offered the draw, I realized maybe he wasn't so confident. And I went ahead, I played queen h5 check. And the position got messy enough where I did win the game as white after something like king d8. I did lose the bishop, pawn takes g3. I won't get into that specific game too much, but black should be better here, given that there is an extra piece, and it is a matter of developing the rest of the pieces and finding some safety for the king. Probably some idea like bishop d7 and bishop g7, but it would still be some fights. Anyway, after that experience, I've trapped a number of players in this from the black side. Just for fun here, we can check the Lichess database and see how many people have fallen into this from the black side. Let's switch over to Lichess, and this position, well over 200 games. Going back to this position, 287 games with pawn f5, with black scoring very well. So I usually like to show this, especially when delving into opening traps, just to show how many people can actually fall for something like this. So now I want to go back. I want to show the best response to this opening, because I know there's a lot of e4 players out there, and if you're an e4 player, you're probably going to run into the Petroff at some point. So let's go all the way back, and let's flip the board. Where's flipboard? There we go. So I mean, if you're playing against a Petroff, you could play knight c3 if you want to go into a 4 knights. I recommend just taking the pawn. And if you run into this line, then the best move is to play queen e2 and go into what we just saw: queen e7, queen take e4, d6, d4, take, knight c6. So same exact line we just saw. But now not to play bishop to f4, but to play this move knight c3. In my opinion, knight c3 is by far the strongest move, for reasons which we'll see. I do want to make clear that the bishop e5 is also an attractive option, but after bishop d7, we can actually see, based on the stats here, that that black is scoring decently, at least in the main line, because black already has threats of taking and ideas of castling queenside. So we'll see how knight c3 is a much more simple option. So now, inevitably, black is going to take back the pawn. I should note here that knight take e5 loses on the spot to knight d5. And this is just completely winning for white, as the queen is attacked, and the queen is tied down to defending both the knight on e5 and the pawn on c7. I don't think there's too much black can do here. Maybe queen d6 is one possibility, but probably just runs into f4, and white is winning a piece. Otherwise, if queen e6, knight takes c7. If queen d7, just queen take e5. So if black wants to win the pawn, it's most natural to take with the queen. And now white will go for the queen trade. After take. This doesn't look too impressive at first, just because like the pawn structure is completely symmetrical, and it just seems like a very dry, kind of drawish position. However, white can seize the initiative with the next move. Next move is very important, to play bishop to f4 with the skewer. And we're going to see, based on white's kind of earlier development, white will be able to get the advantage. So after bishop f4, there's a skewer. If the knight moves anywhere, then bishop takes c7 will be played. So there's a couple moves for black. Probably the most expected move is bishop to d6. If black wanted to, f6 I guess is possible, but could very easily walk into some lines with black just getting an isolated pawn. If white wants to, white could probably just take right away, castle queenside, complete development very naturally, and this pawn is just a long-term weakness. This is just a pleasant edge for white. So bishop d, most expected. And now there's a very strong move for white. And if I'm not mistaken, there's only one move in this position for white to keep the advantage. And I would encourage viewers, if you're not sure what to do here, pause the video and try and find the strongest continuation for white. Okay, so let me start by saying that white would like to play a move like knight b5 or knight e4. But these moves don't work for basically the same reason, is that, let's say white plays a move like knight b5, it looks strong at first, but just walks into the kind of the positional tactic knight f3, allowing the trade of knight for bishop after take. Black has absolutely no problems here. The knight is really doing nothing on b5, and black would be very happy with this position. Same thing like if white, oops, sorry about that. Let's go back to this position. If white decided to castle queenside here, this is also not a great move because of knight d3 check. And again, black would be getting the bishop pair. So the thing to do for white is to simply stop what black wants to do with the move bishop to g3. And this is by far the most powerful move. Just for organizational sake, we'll make this the main line. And here, the power of bishop g3 is white now has two threats. White is threatening knight b5 and knight e4 with the idea of getting the bishop pair. And there's really nothing black can do to stop both of these moves. For example, let's say black just castles. Knight b5 is incredibly powerful. Attacking the bishop. I would assume a move like bishop b4 is just met with c3. And white will be maintaining some nice advantage here, given there's a lot of pressure against the c-pawn, pressure against the knight. Maybe I am a bit curious what could happen in this line after bishop a5. I think what we'll do, because I didn't prepare this too extensively, I'll try and figure out the best move for white, or best approach for white, and then I'll check Stockfish, because I know white has advantage here. It's just a matter of execution. I would like to take on e5, rook e8, and then f4. This could run into f6. But then probably bishop c4. This should be good enough for white to have some edge. For example, if king h8, white could castle, take, and then rook he1. This would be my first instinct. Let's go back. Let's see if Stockfish has any better recommendation. Let's say in this position, Stockfish. Ooh, plus. Okay, I didn't think the advantage over 3. But let's see what happens. Rook e8. Ah, queenside castle. Multi-purpose move. Getting out of the pin and allowing rook d8 next move. Okay. It's good to know. Probably should have seen that a bit quicker. Anyway, we can see, I can just prove here that even after bishop g3, white is just a bit better here. I guess f6 is the main move. But then still, after something like knight b5, let's say bishop b4 check, c3, bishop a5, I would expect white should queenside castle here. I can probably reinforce the evaluation with Stockfish. White is doing quite well. So anyway, I hope that that brings some insight into some new line, especially this line with knight take e4 followed by knight take e5 is not so common, and I think a lot of players can very easily study a lot of openings and just never encounter something like this. And it's exactly what happened to me back when I was kind of a mid 2200 level player. I encountered this for the first time, and it's one of these things it's good to kind of know, at least know for white if you're an e4 player, know this knight c3 line, and especially know up to bishop g3. If you know this far, then you'll be in very good shape. And if you're looking for a tricky opening for black, I can recommend this in Blitz, as a lot of white players will maybe start thinking in this position. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you have any requests to see different types of content, or you have questions, I'm gonna try and make more content exclusive for YouTube. because I know the audience is growing. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video.